The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the most interesting NFL teams as of right now after they drafted Trevor Lawrence, one of the most interesting quarterbacks ever seen in college football. Trevor Lawrence is so wild to watch play. In his 3 years at Clemson, he won a natty and he made it to the playoffs all 3 times, winning a natty once and then making it to the natty again the next year and then settling for a blowout against Ohio State in the semis. But that's okay because he's still an insane player to watch. And he's just one out of the many picks that were made in this draft. Picks made in part by Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is probably one of the best college football coaches of all time. He's been able to take 2 teams to the national championship game and win, Florida and Ohio State. And with Florida, he was able to get them to win twice, once in '07 and once in '09. But Urban Meyer has a way of talking to college kids. That's clear. With his time at Bowling Green and his time at Utah and Florida and Ohio State, he's shown that he can get through to these kids. And that's exactly what Trevor Lawrence is. He may be married, but he's still a kid. He's 21. And so, because of that, I think the Jaguars might have a shot at this thing. They're definitely not going to go to the Super Bowl or anything crazy like that. I don't even think they're going to make a playoff game unless Trevor Lawrence does what he does best and only loses in the playoffs. But I doubt they're going to go 17-0, which would mark the first time that Trevor Lawrence has lost a regular season game, considering he lost 3 playoff games in high school and 2 in college. But this is the big leagues now. Trevor's got a lot riding on his back, but he's not alone, because there's a little rumor come out that Tim Tebow's coming out of retirement to be a tight end for the Jaguars, which would be insane. A tight end going from Heisman winner, national championship winning quarterback, playoff game winner in the NFL to tight end. But I mean, he's got that tight end build. It's probably from smacking home runs out of the park in baseball. But that break he made from the NFL was definitely needed, because I think he's going to be back and better than ever. Granted, he's not going to be taking snaps from the pocket, but he's definitely going to do a lot of blocking and catching, and I think that's going to be cool to watch. Kind of a redemption story. And him and Urban have a really good chemistry together. He's like one of Urban's kids, considering like the 2 national championship wins and then that one game where he was crying. He was saying he would never let his team down again. And Urban likes stuff like that. He likes people to show emotion and show that they really care for what they're doing. But he's going to have his hands full with a team last year that only won 1 game. And it seemed like the whole moniker of Tank for Trevor was really coming true, considering they won the only game they won was the first game of the year, and it was all downhill from there. But there were some bright spots. They drafted James Robinson. They didn't draft him. He had 1,000 yards. But you know who they did draft? Travis Etienne, who looks to be replacing him, which is kind of weird considering you don't want to get rid of your 1,000-yard rusher. That's kind of strange. But Urban has said that Robinson is going to be the primary back. Same with Carlos Hyde. They're going to be primary backs, with Etienne only coming in when he's needed, which could be considered a good play considering the amount of power that Trevor and Travis had at Clemson. They did a lot of damage on their feet. But I'm still not sold. The Jaguars are in a really difficult division. And it might not be considered like it's definitely no uh NFC South, but it's pretty gnarly. You have the Colts with Carson Wentz, T.Y. Hilton, Jonathan Taylor. They're looking strong. Definitely going to make another playoff run. The Titans with Tannehill and the absolute monster that's Derrick Henry, probably going to make a playoff run. And then Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans, who got rid of all their talent just for some dude who likes massages. I don't get it, but I mean, it's going to be very interesting for the Jags. They got 2 games for each, so there's going to be 6 games just in that division alone where they're going to have a little bit of a struggle. But their first game of the year is against the Bengals, who I'll talk about in a later video, are going to be in some deep trouble if they don't keep Joe Burrow alive, which I struggled with last year, but we all know that Jamar Chase is going to be great at blocking for him, apparently, but that's besides the point. I think the Jaguars have the ability. I think they could win probably 7 games, go 7-10. A far cry from the 0 losses in the regular season that Lawrence is used to. But it's a start. That's 6 more games than last year, and I think it'll only keep growing. But I wonder if this is going to kind of start to show a more college-type offense for the Jags. Because you have an amazing college quarterback who's now a tight end, and an amazing college coach. We might see a college offense, which hasn't worked in the past. But these are no ordinary Joe Schmoes out there playing and coaching. These are some of the greats. And you have DJ Chark, Jamal Agnew, wide receivers. They're pretty good weapons. Even though they didn't really get to show it as much, there's some pretty good weapons on that team. I think the struggle, though, is going to be defense, considering this draft it wanted to stack the offense, but now the defense is going to have to step up if they don't want Trevor Lawrence to play for 59 minutes of a game. But that's why I think the Jaguars aren't going to go insane in their first year. And I don't think they'll go insane for the next couple of years. But with the next up-and-coming drafts, I think they'll get some more key players. And they might get this thing moving. They might be one of the next big teams. But it's definitely not going to happen right now. Who knows? Trevor Lawrence could be the next Andrew Luck, except he's going to stay a little longer, I'd hope. But that's all in the future. All that we really know right now is that this offense is probably going to be pretty good. But once they see those once the other teams see that rough defense that Jacksonville has, I think it's going to be a little hard for them, considering you have people you have Derrick Henry just running straight through that line, just going straight through, stiff-arming people as if they're his kids, knocking them down. And then you have T.Y. Hilton catching the ball over the heads of the cornerbacks as easy as he possibly could, right? It's going to be it might be a tough year for the Jags, but I do think they'll improve greatly from where they were. And I do have faith in Urban, because I'm an Ohio State fan, and I got to have faith in Urban, because I would have loved if he ended his coaching career at Ohio State, but we all knew that wasn't going to happen. But Jacksonville has one more trick up their sleeve that only 2 other teams in the NFL have. There's no state tax. And Tampa Bay used that perfectly. They got so many players who wanted to retire, come down there, win them a ring, because they wanted to play with Tom Brady, and there was no state tax, and that it's warm down there. Well, it's warm in Jacksonville. And Urban Meyer is a great coach, and Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback we've already seen. But some of Urban's old retired players that he coached could come back to Jacksonville to play with their old coach. Some of the players that used to play with Tebow could come back. But that all remains to be seen. So until next time, this is Blowout Sports, signing out.